Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Explainer. We're jumping right in and unpacking Chapter 5, looking closely at how ancient Indian kingdoms transformed from your standard regional powers into these massive, complex empires that literally shaped the course of civilization. Now, this brings us to the big question driving this entire chapter. What exactly makes an empire rise? Like, how does a kingdom actually scale up to an imperial level? Well, we're going to investigate the exact blueprint needed to build one of these massive political structures. To set the stage here, the ancient text, the Artha Shastra, gives us this brilliant foundational rule. It says, there cannot be a country without people, and there is no kingdom without a country. It's so true, right? Empires aren't just about drawing lines on a map. They are fundamentally about managing resources and, most importantly, managing people. Okay, so here's our agenda for today. 1. Welcome to Pataliputra. 2. The rise of Magadha. 3. The cost of expansion. 4. The science of governance. 5. Ashoka's vision. And 6. The fragility of empires. Let's kick things off with Section 1. Welcome to Pataliputra. Just imagine stepping into this bustling ancient capital. I mean, the staggering scale of Pataliputra meant witnessing sturdy drawbridges being lifted for safety, active ironsmiths forging weapons, and an impressive, highly organized procession of soldiers and elephants marching off to battle. It must have been wild to see. Experiencing that massive scale naturally leads us to a pretty foundational question. What exactly is an empire? How does this incredible military and logistical display differ from just a regular, everyday kingdom? To figure that out, let's move to Section 2, the rise of Magadha. So, the crucial point here is that the Kingdom of Magadha had a massive geographical advantage. It's all about location. They were located right in the fertile Ganga plains, which ensured a steady food supply, plus they had abundant forests for timber, access to elephants, which, let's be honest, were basically the tanks of ancient warfare, and crucial access to iron ore in the nearby hills. This combination was the absolute necessary fuel for imperial expansion. And a single resource like iron played a dual, truly transformative role. It was a real game changer. On one hand, iron plows dramatically boosted agricultural produce, allowing them to feed a rapidly growing population. But on the other hand, lighter, sharper iron weapons completely strengthened their military capabilities. This dual advantage is exactly what allowed powerful early kings like Ajatashatru to establish Magadha as a dominant center of power. But moving on to Section 3, the cost of expansion. Because having an army is really only half the battle. Conducting distant military campaigns demands immense economic power and really strict control over the workforce. Think about it. You have to feed, clothe, and equip thousands of soldiers, continuously care for war elephants and horses, and build the infrastructure, like roads and ships required to transport them all. The logistics are just mind-boggling. Which brings us to Section 4, the science of governance. You see, under the Mauryan Empire, the scholar Kautilya wrote this famous text, the Artha Shastra, which literally translates to the science of governance and economics. It served as a meticulous blueprint for exactly how a kingdom should be established, defended, and economically managed to actually sustain such a vast scale. And Kautilya made this brilliant observation. He said, power comes from the countryside, which is the source of all economic activity. He hit the nail on the head. He deeply understood that a strong empire couldn't just focus all its attention on its capital city. It absolutely relied on investing in the countryside, doing things like building embankments and road bridges to protect and encourage the very economic activity that funded the empire's expansion in the first place. Now, let's shift gears a bit in Section 5, Ashoka's vision. What's really fascinating here is the stark contrast in leadership. While early empires focused heavily on military conquest and resource acquisition, essentially relying on the sword to get things done, Ashoka shifted the paradigm entirely. After securing his empire, his rule focused on moral governance, public welfare, and deep tolerance across his vast territories, instituting what he called officers of Dhamma. Ashoka famously declared, "All men are my children." This is perhaps the most vital sentence from his rock edicts, translated in Chapter 5. It just beautifully captures his paternalistic vision. He explicitly stated that just as he desired welfare and happiness for his own children, both in this world and the next, he desired the exact same thing for all of his subjects. And the best part? He didn't just talk the talk, he institutionalized it. His officers of Dhamma were specifically instructed to practice impartiality, to never imprison or torture without good reason, and to tour the territories every 5 years to ensure total fairness. Crucially, they were tasked with managing the affairs of all religious sects, Buddhists, Brahmins, and Jains alike, utilizing administrators who were strictly instructed to be even-tempered and tolerant. It was a huge shift.
Finally, we reach Section 6, the fragility of empires. Chapter 5 points out a universal and quite sobering truth of history. Think about the Roman Empire, the Persian, the Ottoman, Spanish, Russian, and British empires. All of these formidable global powers, much like the mighty ancient Indian empires we've just discussed, are long gone. Building an empire is incredibly difficult, for sure, but sustaining one indefinitely, well, that seems to be nearly impossible.
So, to wrap up our explainer today, I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought straight from the chapter's exercises to ponder. What factors facilitate the transition from kingdoms to empires? And perhaps more intriguingly, why do they all eventually fall? It's a fundamental question of human history, and I hope exploring the blueprints of ancient India today gives you a powerful new lens to reflect on it.